So ESPN.com handed out grades to each MLB team's offseason. 3 teams got A's. The Boston Red Sox, the LA Dodgers, and the Detroit Tigers.
Oh, wow.
How about that?
Yeah, 3 contending teams, huh?
Yeah, I guess.
Huh. I wonder where this rating or the letter grade would have been, say, a week and a half ago. And I'm guessing we wouldn't have to dig too hard to find grades that were given out, off-season grades from a week and a half ago, and see that the Tigers would have been given like a C- or a D. And now they're an A. Huh.
Well, here's what they wrote about the Tigers getting an A, one of the 3 teams that got A's. Now, some teams got A minuses, but the highest grades went to the Dodgers, the Red Sox, and the Tigers for their offseason maneuvering. And it says the Tigers salvaged the offseason with a late signing of Valdez and Verlander. But their most important move was the one they didn't make, trading Tarek Skubal. There has been some warranted criticism about not addressing the offense that struggled to make contact in the playoff series loss to Seattle, but I think it made sense for them to prioritize the pitching. First, the offense improved 76 runs from 2024 while being one of the youngest groups in the American League. Now the Tigers will be adding top prospects Kevin McGonigal to the infield, and at some point Max Anderson could also join the lineup. Given youth and McGonigal, there is reason to expect the offense to be solid again. The pitching and defense gave up 49 more runs than in 2024, and the rotation ranked just 22nd in innings. Adding a starter like Valdez, who averages 192 innings the past 4 seasons, is a huge get. Verlander, meanwhile, isn't just a sentimental signing, especially after terrific final 13 starts last season in San Francisco. I'm less enthused about Jansen and Finnegan moves for the bullpen, but in the end, the Tigers kept Skubal, increased payroll some $62 million. So there's why they got the A.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, they needed to add a stud pitcher to the rotation, and they did. Mm-hmm. And then they went out and added Justin Verlander as well. And if Verlander pitches anywhere near like he did in the second half of the season last year, that's an excellent rotation piece. And it really solidifies there where now they have depth in the rotation, and they can, take their time and seeing how they want to, deploy that depth when they want to use a Gator Montero start. How they're going to use Troy Melton is still to be seen. Is he going to start the year at AAA and keep starters innings up and build up the arm, or is he going to stay with the Major League club and occasionally get a spot start but typically come out of the bullpen? Don't know. They've got lots of options, let alone the Drew Anderson aspect of this and other pitchers that are waiting in the queue to get their opportunities, at Jake Miller or Ty Madden.
What a difference a couple of weeks makes.
Yes, 100%.
And, I think we can sit here and say that there are, I don't want to use the term impatient, because impatient implies that you aren't justified in growing uncomfortable with a team's lack of moves. And I don't mind people, hey, are the Red Wings going to do anything? Hey, are the Lions going to get aggressive this offseason? It's okay to ask those questions. It's okay to want. I think where I take issue when people trash a team for not making a move, and you go, okay, then you definitely are, I just want to make a move for move's sake. When you're mad about a move that a team didn't make, and you don't even know what move was on the table, you wanted to make a move for move's sake. And, if you don't care what the cost was of making said move, you want to make a move for move's sake. And nobody ever says, I just want to make a move for move's sake. But in the case of everybody else, this might be a great example of, hey, that team that you don't think is ever going to make a move, they might do it.
Well, the easiest sport to do it in is baseball because the lack of a salary cap. And when you get to free agency, it's like, yeah, okay, if you're going to make a move in free agency, you're going to make the move to improve the team. So when the Tigers spent big on Framber Valdez, it's unquestioned a move that's going to improve the team. Mm-hmm. And then you go ahead and back that up with Justin Verlander replacing the injured Reese Olson, who we weren't sure how much he was going to be able to pitch anyway this year. Turns out not a pitch. That's another competent move that they've made. And it flipped the narrative. Overnight, it flipped the narrative on Framber Valdez. And then a couple days later, hold my beer, here's another move. And it's like, what just happened? They just improved themselves dramatically in pitching. Hitting, you can still make the argument that they can use another bat. And I'm not convinced that they've got this roster set. I could still see them making a move and trading for a player because they have assets to trade before the season gets going. But it may just be simply, hey, Kevin McGonigal made the team out of spring training. Or one of these other guys made the team out of spring training, and they're getting something out of that. If McGonigal makes the team out of spring training, it's because they envision him beginning his major league career and getting 450 to 550 plate appearances this year, like real time, because there's no way they would just bring him up to be platooned with a couple other guys at different positions. And, hey, he might get 200 at-bats. That's not going to happen with him.
Now, if you want belief that now is our time, and it kind of has been the Tigers' time in this division, the Kansas City Royals, their offseason, they get a C. The Chicago White Sox, their offseason, they get a C. I'm scrolling down here. The Cleveland Guardians, their offseason, they get a D+. The Minnesota Twins, their offseason, they get an F.
Wow.
That's our division. Nobody else got higher than a C, according to these ESPN offseason grades.
What did the Yankees get?
The New York Yankees get a scroll. You know, there's a button where I can just jump to a team, and I didn't execute that, which was stupid. And the Yankees get a C+.
I mean, you start thinking about the teams that are contending teams in the American League in Seattle. What does Seattle get?
A-.
A-. So that's a pretty good baseball team there, and they make some moves.
A good team to begin with, and a plus offseason.
Yes.
You know what's interesting about the Yankees? If
everything, Doug. It's New York.
Right. The Yankees, if they got a C+, I can imagine that New York is losing its ever-loving mind, the Yankee Nation. If things aren't going well for the Tigers, there's your Herschel Walker trade. A team that had an underwhelming offseason in the Big Apple, in a no-cap league, with a possibility of there being a cap instituted moving forward, an impatient, unhappy fan base that's not used to getting overshadowed, that could be the team that the Tigers, if something goes wrong, which is always possible, if something goes wrong, that's a team that might say, okay, you can have these 3 or 4 top prospects that we weren't going to depart with. We don't want it to go wrong.
No, I don't want anything to go wrong. I want this team to be adding at the trade deadline if they need to. And it'd probably be, my guess is early on, it would be a bullpen arm that they would add at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But if they can add something before the season begins, if they get involved with the Isak Paredes or something like that, I'm all for it. Let's get this team as good as they can get and win a World Series.